Yo, I love that intro. I think I play it all the time before going to sleep. It's my lullaby song. I'm just kidding. I don't do that. But it's going to be stuck in your head if you keep watching Entertainment 4111111. I'm your host, Free Diaz, Danny. I provide my own special effects. What's going on, guys? We are here live. I got my dog hiding in my lap. I got pajama pants on because that's what you do when you stream. You get comfy from the waist down and then your business from the top up, right? Right? Come on, guys. Tell me if I'm right. I'm waiting for you guys to tell me if I'm right. Am I right? No one's going to answer me live? No? All right, too bad. Guys, we are here at Entertainment 411. This is all things entertainment. We got casting directors, producers, writers, actors. We had Dan Aykroyd last week. We're getting celebrities, but the biggest celebrity of all has joined us tonight. It is one of my favorite casting directors. That is right. None other than Don't Call Me Jesse Griffiths. It is Jesse Griffiths of JGC Casting Naturally. One of my favorite up and coming. He is well established, been in the business for many years, and he's going to be one of your favorites, as you see very soon when we have this nice one-on-one interview. You get to take the walls down. You get to learn about these casting directors, see what they do on a regular basis. It's not just casting. They have a life outside of this. Yes, thank you, Petra. Puppy. She is a cutie. She was sick, and she's feeling a little bit better. PJs by 4 p.m. Craig, you are correct. PJs by 3 if you're lucky. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorites. Been wanting to have him on the show for a long time, and we finally have him here today. Please make sure you send in your questions ASAP because I'll get to them. Welcome to the stage, Jesse Griffiths. Hello, Jesse.
Hello.
Oh my God, I like the backdrop. You got a library. You got some foliage. Very nice. It's a good look.
This is where all the magic happens, is right here.
It's good. Yeah, backdrop is very important. You can judge a person a lot by what they have on their background. You know what I mean? Some people got awards, some people got books, some people got a beige wall, and it looks like one of those Indian shows on Omni 2, and you're like, nah.
Yeah, I mean, you see like one plant. What you don't see is all the plants that are dying that I'm trying to revive somehow.
Oh my God, yeah. I've been dealing with that too because the sun has been scorching, and I'm in a condo, so my wife's like, hey, did you water the plants? I'm like, oh, shoot, no. And you go outside, and it's like dry basil that you can't use anymore.
Yeah, I'm either overwatering or underwater. I just do my best.
Yeah, how do you, like, I realize how hard it is to have a green thumb. There's like, you have what? Like, I have like 12 to 13 plants, and it's like, what needs what water? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I have a monstera. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I probably have the same. And it's like I kind of water them all like, dip.
Yeah, it's like, throw the hose. I have a monstera that I've probably killed like 8 times since it was like one leaf. And it's come back to life. Every time I'm like, oh, it's dead. And my wife's like, just throw it. I'm like, no. It's going to come back. And it's like, it grew like its own second leaf. I don't know. It looks good. I'm happy with it. You can't kill a monstera.
You're not getting yourself
a monstera. No. The monstera you can't kill. It's over there. Can we see in the corner? It's over there. It's alive. It's thriving.
Yeah, it looks great.
Some cheese. We got some cheese leaves. We're good. All right, enough about plants. This isn't the plant show, although me and you should open up our own show later on called The Plant Show with Jesse Griffiths and 3 guests, Danny. It'd be great. This is a show about getting to know you, getting to know the casting directors in the business, and, you know, what it takes to get in front of you, do's and don'ts, tips and tricks. What do you prefer? We're in the self-tape era. But we all got to start at the beginning. I'm going to stop myself. We got to start at the beginning. First off, I'm going to add a ticker right below. Guys, we have a contest as always. So this is a nice little easy hashtag. Hashtag JGC. My dyslexia is going to mix that up. JGC, for a one-on-one consultation with Jesse. It's going to be dope. You could ask him questions. You could shadow. It's completely up to Jesse what he's going to end up doing. But we're going to have one winner for sure. Maybe we'll have a second. Who knows? So enter below during the comments as we start. Look, we're ready to get it. Craig, as always, jumping on the gun. Thank you, Craig. Deanna says, JGC, yes, please. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But about you, and this is my favorite questions to ask casting directors because it's always a different one. It's the first question. What was your journey to becoming a casting director? Where did it start? And I know it was in the school of casting directors. It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. There's a very long story of like how I got to where I got to, but the condensed version is still pretty lengthy already. So I'm going to go with the condensed
Okay.
version. But essentially, I was an actor in Toronto. I went to an arts high school. I went to theater school. I was an actor in Toronto for, almost a decade, working in like film and TV and a lot of commercials, and did a lot of, regional theater across Ontario and across Canada. And I just started eventually started being like a reader for auditions, back in the day when the majority of auditions were in person. With the great Jason Knight, he brought me in to be his reader, and that kind of led to some pretty consistent work as his reader. And then eventually their assistant that was currently working with them went off and started to do something different and pivoted. And they asked me if I wanted to come on as their assistant. And I did. And I was with Jason and John for about 2 years. And then I was kind of dabbling with acting a little bit back and forth, and wasn't sure if casting was what I wanted to do. And so I was kind of doing a bit of both. And then left Jason and John and focused on acting for a little bit more. And then the glorious, beautiful, talented Stephanie Gorin reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to come on and work in her office. And I just thought it was a perfect opportunity. So I came and worked with Stephanie and her team for, another about 2 years. And then people kind of started to reach out to me to cast like small projects that maybe Stephanie didn't have the bandwidth for, or, some casting directors can be expensive, and I was not. So I would do like small commercials or music videos or short films like in the evenings and weekends while still working for Stephanie. And eventually I just couldn't kind of do both. I kind of had to make a choice of what I wanted to do. And so I decided to launch my own company, and I've lost track. I think we're in year 5 or 6 right now, but Stephanie and I parted on very good terms. She's been very supportive. She sent me work. She's someone I go to with questions. And so, it's been about 5 or 6 years. I have a great team. We work in film, TV, commercial, digital, video game. Just finished doing some live theater with The Lion King. So it's a really fun journey so far. Yeah.
Yeah, you're on the up and up. You got some great projects. I remember auditioning for you in 2021, and since then it's just blown up. It's continued to blow up. So good for you. Like entrepreneurship, and as an actor, I could respect the grind. You can't have one avenue, or else you'll go nuts, especially with a job where it's rejection all the time. But I did not know you were doing both at one time at one point. That's very interesting to see. That's very dope. Jason was also an actor, correct, before as well. So you kind of shared that with him.
Yeah, and for anyone that's ever auditioned for Jason and Stephanie, they are both they love actors. They're so kind. They see talent. Yeah. They know how to mine it. They are two of Toronto's, if not Canada's best, for sure. Yeah.
They're awesome. I do love them. I love going to a Jason. I miss going into a Jason room and having him in like the back corner, like watching from the distance, like in the. Just like, this is what I
For those of you who don't know, he's not standing like judging. He just likes to stand and be acting. Like he's just like he's very
he's absorbing. He's absorbing everything. He's taking it all in. Yeah. I could see how it could be intimidating for the newbies like myself at times. But then I realized that that's just his thing. It's just his thing.
Yeah.
Not judging at all. Great story. You hear so many different avenues, especially with casting directors. It's never a consistent path. So I always love the first question. I've had people who were in psychology and they got into casting, people who were producers and went into casting, and it's going to be different every time. But thank you for sharing that. Thank you very much. So you kind of answered this a little bit, but let's dive a little deeper if you can. I mean, what was the journey like? Like, maybe let's talk about the transition from acting to casting. Like, what made you realize like this was something that you can do as a job?
I think that from like a young age, I was always just kind of pursuing acting because it's what I like to do, and I thought I was good at, and I had fun. I really enjoyed it, and I've met some incredible people, and I've had incredible journeys and stories, and the shows that I've done, I've met some really incredible people. But it was kind of around like the 7 or 8 year mark when I was still acting that I was like, I was losing the excitement for it and the drive for it. And it was kind of, I was like, these are the people I want to be with. Like at one point I was even debating going to law school. I'm like, well, that seems like the thing to do, which would not have been a good idea. But I was like, these are the people I want to surround myself with, the people in our industry. They are caring and intelligent and creative and sympathetic and funny. And like, these are the people I want to be working with. But I think that my skill set is better suited to help out on this side of the table versus, being in front of the camera. So it was, and I think that what I struggled with for a while is like, oh, people will see me as a quitter, or that I can't hack it, or that I don't belong in the acting community. And, once I kind of pivoted into casting, the outpour of like support and emotion and excitement was like overwhelming. And I was like, oh yeah, like people just want everyone to be happy and do their thing. So there was nothing negative about the experience. And when I first started, it was, you're fighting for your meal, like if you don't get a job, you're getting paid. And that didn't really change that much from acting. Like you have to go out and you have to hustle. And I kind of like that. Like, I don't think that I would do well. And like, here's your check every week, no matter what you do or don't do. Like, I like the idea of kind of hustling for work. And when I first started, it was coffees, it was lunches, it was endless cold emails and phone calls to generate work.
Yeah.
And relying on, some wonderful contacts who kind of really got me through those first couple of years.
For sure. Like any business, it's a grind. You have to grind, otherwise nothing's going to happen. And there's like so much complacency, especially after COVID, you see with just young adults. Oh, I'm just gonna wait for it to, come my way. It's like, no, you got to go out and do. You got to do. And that's exhausting too in its own right. Like it is exhausting in its own right. I can imagine that. Like as an actor, to like to be the schmoozing and I can understand that. I also share the sentiment of law was also on my list, and I realized I like the performance of law, not the books and citing of sources and cases. Like it's just. I told my mom I play a lawyer on TV, and I did with Suits, and that was it. I'm good. I hit my peak. I'm good. The law definitely. No, thanks. This is a good question to kind of juxtapose to what you're talking about. What do you love the most about casting? And you kind of touched on some points there, but what's something that you love about casting?
I'm not gonna say. I can't say one thing because there really isn't.
No,
for me off the top, it's like the perfect blend of like, I love watching great actors do what they do, and when you see that person who's right for it, like your heart skips a beat. You get excited. There is something like you can't put words to it the moment you see something that's brilliant. At the same time, like I love like spreadsheets and lists and Excel and organization and lists and processes, right? Like,
okay, yeah.
Like what we do is, I think right now we probably have maybe 10 different projects on the go, all at different stages. So some are starting, some are wrapping, some were right in the middle. And so the organization that's required to keep things on track, to not miss a tape, to not miss an offer, to not miss a comma, like it's really important. And so I equally like that part too. So I love the creativity with this little bit of OCD organization. I love that my job is working with people who inspire me. I love that my job is reading scripts and stories and, meeting new people and discovering a new way of looking at something, or being exposed constantly to a new way of thinking and a new experience or a new like lived experience when I'm working with people in different communities or different backgrounds or with different stories. I like that. I like that every single day is different. I also hate that every single day is different. Like you can't plan sometimes what your day looks like. But I think, those are all the things. It's a great blend of what I love to do and the people I love to do it with.
That's I like that. It's like you like the like office-y Excel spreadsheet work ethic organization of casting, and then you also get to do this like creative artsy fartsy left brain right brain like process, and that's kind of marries together. Yeah, I like that. I've never heard an answer like that before. Guys, I love. It's a good thing. No, it's a good thing. You're made for the job. It's great. I also didn't think, you don't think of casting as the spreadsheets, but then you realize, oh my God, no, it's very much the spreadsheets. You have like multiple tapes and multiple projects and multiple breakdowns and multiple casting. It's like, yeah, no, that takes a lot of organization and memorization and organization. Did I say that already? I said that twice, I think.
Yeah, it's true. Say it twice.
Yeah, say it twice. You need it. Guys, hashtag JGC, hashtag JGC, hashtag JGC. JGC, yes, please. Craig and I will arm wrestle for it. That's Deanna. I got my money on you. Jamie Hill. Yes. I'm in my 40s. I stepped up to make it happen. Hashtag JGC. Let's make it happen. You guys are really, really engaging. We got a lot of entries. So congratulations to you, Jesse, because your engagement is great on here. Let's say that.
Hey.
Folks, we have a contest, as you can see on the bottom, JGC for a chance to win. For throwing me under the bus. Yes, Craig, we're throwing you under the bus, buddy. We have a contest to enter a one-on-one session with Jesse. This is something money cannot buy. I'm sure you could buy it, but the money will be expensive. I don't know what Jesse charges per hour. But it's a great opportunity to connect with a well-established Toronto casting director, ask some questions, pick his brain. Guys, we're going to go and take a quick commercial break from one of our sponsors. We got to know Jesse, and then the next half, we're going to start to delve into more of the tips and tricks of being an actor and getting in front of a casting director. So we'll be right back after these messages.
I'm going to be a good director who gives you good notes. I'm going to be a bad director who gives you lousy notes.
My Tribe Studio. A versatile space for your projects. A space to find your tribe.
Ooh, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That was a quick message from our sponsors, My Tribe Media. If you are in the Vancouver area, please make sure you check out My Tribe. My Tribe Media has been a gracious sponsor for us for a long time. It's a Vancouver-based recording studio and classroom, offering some of the most affordable acting classes in the city. They have a scene study and improv classes coming up in the next month. If you register through eBoss, 10% off on all My Tribe courses. So be sure to check them out, especially if you're in Vancouver. And if you're not and you plan on going there, then you can check them out as well. We're back, guys, with Jesse Griffiths. We are here. He has a contest, hashtag JGC, for a chance to win a one-on-one session. We have been answering a lot of questions. Guys, if you have questions, please make sure you ask them in the comments section below. I'll be sure to get to as many as I can. I prefer to ask your questions in mine, to be honest with you, because your questions are more important, but mine are generic enough that hopefully you guys get something out of it. So here's my question to you, Jesse. The new up-and-comers, the people who are just breaking into the industry. Maybe they haven't gotten to see you as yet. Maybe they're trying to get their Actra credit. They're trying to, create a demo reel, sizzle reel. What advice would you give to aspiring actors?
Yeah, that's a great question. For context in general, or what advice?
Yeah, I would say in general, I guess more so for some, I would say, I'll give you a scenario. Someone who has recently signed with an agent, non-union, they've done maybe theater school or a couple acting classes under the belt. They've done some, some student films, and they're looking to get some more experience on set.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I feel like a lot of people find themselves in this position. I would say, first of all, maybe about half the projects we work on across all mediums are non-union. So it really gives us a really exciting chance to see up-and-coming actors who are either just entering the industry or have just left theater school or coming back to the industry in the non-union world. There are a lot of different routes you can go when you're kind of getting into it or you're just getting back into it. The first thing I would always recommend is training. Even if you've just left an institution, acting is a muscle and it needs to be worked out or else it will atrophy. So constantly training, and training doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be at a studio. It can literally be you sitting around with your iPhone running scenes or monologues with a friend, but it's keeping things fresh. That's something I'd recommend. I think that a lot right now in this world of self-tapes, people are relying on the ease of doing a self-tape at home to create the perfect audition. And what that means is not stopping until they get it right and doing 25 takes. And from that, what I see is as self-tapes, it might have lost a bit of their luster, or that twinkle, or the spark, or the energy. So I always approach like self tapes like you would an audition, like only record when you're ready to do some of your best work, and if you're not, then take a break and come back to it. When you are auditioning, I want to see who you are as an actor, as an artist, how you think creatively, so don't go with just your first choice. Like, mind the piece, see how many different ways you can play something out, and you might end up going back to that first choice, but then you have that layer, that base, and all that extra work that you've done. Like, I use the example, I did a lot of like Shakespeare when I kind of first started. That's what a lot of people did, was regional Shakespeare, and it's a great way to get your equity card. And we would spend days, sitting around a table going through and looking at the beats and the punctuation and where the emphasis was on different words. But when you actually go up to perform that, you're not thinking about those things, but that homework is already done. And so when it comes, it's just going to come effortlessly. And that's how I look at acting. It's like, you have to do the work.
Right.
And you just can't show up and expect it to be brilliant. So do the work. And then when it comes to like, how to see a casting director or how to make a good first impression, it's because of this digital age where everything's virtual, it is harder sometimes. We've lost that kind of interaction that we get in the room. But I would say, like, anytime you get an opportunity to audition for a casting director, make sure you are doing your best work possible. I also try and see as much like theater and improv and sketch and like stand up, like any live element of theater performance you're working on. Invite casting directors. If you're just leaving theater school, or if you're just starting theater school, or if you're in a training facility and people can come watch, invite casting directors, invite agents. Worst case scenario, they say no. We get invites all the time, and we're not dismissive of those things. If we can come, we will. So those things are all important. And then, lastly, it's less to do with casting, but more so like yourself and representation. Make sure you find an agent that really believes in you, that speaks your language, that understands your journey and knows where you want to go. And remind yourself at the very end of all of this, that this, you're kind of talking about the beginning, like, what do we do when I'm not casting? Like, what do you do when you're not acting? Have a life outside of this industry. Have people that support you and understand you that are not all actors. Like, find joy, find hobbies, find things that keep you mentally and physically healthy, because that is what I want to see when you come to the room, is someone who's present, engaged, ready to play around with, but also like level-headed, and I can have a decent chat with them. That's what I'd suggest.
Yeah. Whew. That's a lot. Y'all unload a lot of that. I hope you did. Well, it's good though. It's all good, and you know what? I'm gonna have to put you on the top of the list as one of the best answers for that question, because that was a lot of very beneficial and truthful information.
Okay,
you kind of answered some of the next questions I'm going to ask, so I'm going to kind of segue into them. But I love that you mentioned the multiple takes, and sometimes you go back to the first one. How are you with like 2 takes? For, let's say you're having a casting breakdown, brown, semi-handsome, like a 6.5 out of 10, short hair, has a brick wall. No, and then if I was to send you one version that I think fits the network, fits the description, fits the type of work that we're looking for, and a second option as to show that I have that range, because I find that's the one thing that's missing from. There's a lot of pros about self-tapes. There's a lot of cons about self-tapes. The pro is the amount of people you can see and all that stuff, and the ease of casting and acting and being able to do it on a whim and adjusting your life accordingly. But you miss that sort of drive going into the room, and also showing your range, showing your ability to take direction. What's your feeling on, like, it's not on the question list, but I'm going on the fly here. What's your thoughts on like getting multiple takes? Are you open to that? Do you like that? I mean, you might not submit both, but it might be good for you to have. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I guess like I have no problem with 2 takes. I always preface this being like, don't make 2 takes your default. Only submit 2 takes if you're like, this could really be played a multitude of ways, and I'm going to present 2 of those, and I feel really good that these are both strong and equally individual takes. If that's the case, yeah, for sure, do it. What I also suggest is telling your agent, hey, I've got 2 takes. I'm kind of, unsure of, I think they're both great. They both could work. What do you think? And sometimes your agent knows more than you do about the process, or the casting director, or what they like. And they could be like, yeah, both are great. Or no, I know that Jesse hates 2 takes, which is not the case, but that might be the case for someone else. And then they can also weigh in if they're like, I know more what the showrunner is looking for, the tone or the vibe, and I think the first take is better. Or they could be like, yeah, let's send both takes. And if you do send both takes, the only thing that I would ask is I always say like separate files. So like don't use one file with 2 takes in a slate, because if we only like the first take, then we've got to go in and slice and dice it.
You kind of touched on agents, and this is a good segue to that question. In your opinion, how is important? Wow, what a sentence that I created there. How important is it for an actor to learn to read? No, for an actor to be on the roster of a top agent. I know you mentioned like earlier, make sure you have an agent that works for you. So maybe you could dive into that.
Yeah, I think that, there are probably a handful of agencies that we could all agree on are top or elite, or where everyone wants to go in Toronto. We don't need to name them, but there are agencies that we think are the best in the city, and that's all fine and good. There are some incredible agents at smaller or mid-level agencies that do exceptional work and that believe in their clients, and you can get them on the phone. I think that it's there are also agencies that you have to be careful of if they are charging you money up front for any work. You should only be getting paid if your agent, or your agent's only getting paid if you're getting paid. So there are agencies to find out, how big is their roster? How often are they submitting you? Like, can you get them on the phone or an email if you have to? So I think that, there are pros and cons at being at different agencies. And at the end of the day, you don't need to be at a top agency to get work. You need to be with an agent that has a good reputation in the industry and a good connection with casting, that you can speak freely about, that you can ask questions about, get on the phone if you need to. But I don't think you have to be at a top agency to get work. I think that as your career develops, you might find that you are being drawn more to one, agency or agent than another, and that's okay too. But I always advise like having a conversation with your agents if there is questions or if you have concerns. Like, have those conversations before you jump ship and go off to a new agency, because Toronto, while there are a lot of agents, it's still a small industry and everyone does know everybody. So the last thing you want to be doing is leaving on somewhere on a bad note. So I always recommend, if you're having questions about representation going into an agency, or if you're thinking about moving, have conversations with your friends, with other agents, with your agent. But it's just always going to be transparent about those things.
For sure. No, that's great. Guys, if you're just joining us, we're with Jesse Griffiths Casting of JGC Casting, naturally. We have a ticker below. It's going across. It is not breaking news, but it kind of is. JGC Casting, hashtag JGC. 3 letters. You punch it in the comment section, and you are entered to win a one-on-one session with none other than Jesse Griffiths to the right of me here. Just keep in mind, guys, if you're watching on my Facebook Live, go to the eBoss one to put the comments in. I'm only able to see your comments on our eBoss page. So please put your comments there. Otherwise, I'm going to miss them. I'm seeing some hashtags coming out. I love it. I love it. I love it. Hello, Lana. You're invited there. Oleg. Ooh, look at that. A picture there. You got a lot of cool pictures. Nick Hunter. Hello. And Maya Michaels. Hello. Guys, thank you for entering. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We have a lot of good questions here from the audience. I'm going to ask one more of our questions. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back for some audience questions. How's that sound? Jesse?
Sounds great.
Okay. Here we go. In your opinion, how important is it for talent to have oh, cute. Are you going to answer the question, puppers? What's your name?
This is Ruthie.
No, I want the dog to answer, Jesse. I'm just kidding. Hi, Ruthie. I have a Kiki, and she's a Chihuahua. This is dog days, guys. I just woke her up from her nap. This is a rat. I suggest you all get yourselves a rat. They're cute. How important is it for talents to have a demo reel? And just to add to that question, we know obviously actors who are just coming out of school, they might not have the credits. It's kind of like to have a resume without having a resume, chicken before an egg situation. So just to add, how important is it to have a demo reel? And what can someone do? Look, I'm having a hard time talking. What can the actors do in the event that they don't have anything to put together in a demo reel?
Yeah, I mean, I think that a demo reel is like a headshot, is like a resume. It is something that is going to be constantly a work in progress throughout your career. You know, just like you get new headshots every couple of years, just like, you know, if your resume is really growing, you might you might start dropping off those actor roles if you're taking on more principal and recurring and lead roles. It's the same thing with
Right.
the demo reel. So, you know, if you're coming fresh out of theater school and all you have is a couple of takes from a film class you did, then put those up. If you
Yeah.
have some work that you've done, you know, a short film you filmed with a bunch of friends, put that up. And then over time, you can start replacing that with stuff that's more professionally produced. And over time, you know, even those professionally produced things, if you only have 2 or 3 lines, they can be replaced with larger and longer scenes. You know, it is not the case that more is better. You do not need an 8-minute demo reel of everything you've ever done. I'd rather see like 2 minutes of quality stuff that shows a range versus like 8 minutes of 2 minutes. You know, I did 2 lines on this show and 6 lines on this show, and I had a big scene in this show. So it is a constant work in progress. And I know that like cutting a demo reel can be expensive. You know, if you can get good at editing your own, great. They don't need to be fancy. You know, they really don't. You know, if you're at a point in your career where like it's solidified and your demo can book you jobs, which you get to a point in your career where you might not be auditioning anymore, where you're booked off a demo, then at that point it might be good to have a really, you know, slick, professionally produced demo reel. But in the first couple of years where you're just kind of building credits and getting material, you know, I would probably do it myself and just know that, you know, every week you can kind of change it up.
Yeah. Love the puppy. Hi, Ruthie. Hi, Peaky. I wish my dog name was it's Kiki, but Peaky is a cute puppy name.
It's cute. That's cute.
Yeah, that is cute. No, that's a great answer to that question. Thank you for that. I personally agree. I mean, I'm not the one to make the decisions, but as an actor, I always thought, you know, if you're coming out of school and you have some stuff like even an audition style, that you put it together just to show even casting. They might not send it out to producers or you know, networks, but it's good for the casting director to see your capability and your range. And that's what I originally did when I was, you know, with my agent, and especially for those looking for agents too. It's a great tool to put a little bit of some stuff together. Say, hey, here's my headshot. Here's the school I went to, and also here's some me on camera work. We're gonna ask one more question before we go to a quick break, and it's a good one because it's the thing that we talked about, the self-tape versus in the room. What is the biggest mistakes performers make? One more than one could be great when auditioning in person or via self-tape. And again, you touched on some of them, but what are the ones like you just are no, do not do?
So in person or via self-tape. So via self-tape, I think we touched on like that is my biggest thing in terms of like multiple takes. That's the biggest thing. We are now at a stage where people I don't expect you to spend thousands of dollars on a home setup, but we are at a point where there's a certain level of professionalism and production that we need to see. Like we need to see a clean background. We need to make sure that the camera's at eye level. We need to make sure that there's at least somewhat proper lighting, that if you do have a reader, they are not overpowering your voice, that they're at the opposite end of the microphone. You know, I want to see, and then that's just like the technical stuff. So that's that for self-tape. And then what goes for both is, as I said, people not making a choice, and they are showing me what they think that I want to see versus them showing me what they want to show me. Because what will happen is every single time I audition you, if you are true to yourself and you make choices, and you might not be right for the part, but then over time I get a better sense of who you are as an actor and kind of where you could fit. But if you're constantly kind of somewhat changing your audition, your approach to fit what you think I want, it actually gives me less of a sense of who you are and makes it a bit more difficult for me to kind of connect with you. So you're not going to get every role, but it would make more sense in the long term to do good, solid work, make exciting choices that are grounded in the text, in the world of the TV show or the film or whatever it is. And then over time, that is how you build up a relationship with the casting director, by doing good work every single time. So that might not be a mistake, but that's the thing to focus on, is just doing good work.
Yeah, guys, Amazon, just buy a ring light. It's like $100 for a good one, $30 for a crappy one. Get a bed sheet, staple it to your wall if you have to. You got to put the work in as an actor. I know a lot of actors, again, we were talking about this earlier, the pandemic, it's kind of lowered the drive, the work ethic, the go, but you're giving your agent 15% of your commission because they're responsible for 15% of your career. I would say you're responsible for 85 to 90 to make it 120% of work. You guys got to put the work in. This is your motivational speech brought to you by Faridi Asdani and Pepsi. Pepsi, thank you for sponsoring us. Just kidding. I wish. Guys, you have been great. There's a lot of questions coming in, Jesse, which I love to see. There's a lot of hashtag entrances as well. A lot of awes. A lot of kikis, a lot of cute stuff going on. Guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. This one is very special to me. This one's actually my project, Day Players, which I self-produced and helped to create with some colleagues of mine. We got together. I got a lot of co-stars that I thought are talented, writers, producers, directors. I encourage you guys all to go and create your own work. As we mentioned before, work is not going to find you. Your phone is not going to find you a job. You need to create your own stuff. Yes, money, I know, but there are ways around it. I promise you it can be done. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy. This is a project I've put some blood, sweat, tears, and a lot of other oils into. It's coming out very shortly in the year. This is Day Players. Take a quick look and we'll be right back.
You are a born protagonist. Look at you. You're a failed professional.
Okay, I wouldn't say failed.
You're a finding bastion of hope in a rundown old school.
I mean, it's not that
It
bad.
just happens to be shared by the only woman who ever broke your heart.
What did you do?
Shh. Just watch.
I've got a lot of auditions lined up, like so many auditions.
I can imagine. I can relate. I'm having so many bookings. Like it's like a library, just books everywhere.
That's right. You're looking at the host of Canada's Next Great Handyman.
I nailed my audition, bro. They said they'd call me.
Guys, I'm gonna be the host of Canada's Next Great Handyman. You are looking at the host of right over.
Okay, I'm feeling a little bit of hostility from you right now.
Oh, please mansplain it to me so I can understand it better.
Clearly you don't know what mansplaining is. Let me break it down for you.
He's dead.
Which is the purest and greatest form of theater? Improvisation.
Told you I would eat you. I told you I would.
Woo! Let's go!
I cannot watch this anymore. This is agony.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That was Day Players coming out very soon to a screen of some sort near you. Thank you, Jesse. I had really nice hair back then. I miss it. I might have to grow that back. Not sure how my casting would go from that long hair. Might be a little limited. Well, we'll see. We'll take a vote later from the audience. Guys, welcome back. We're with Jesse Griffiths of JGC Casting. Nonetheless, look down below. There is a contest. Hashtag JGC. We have a lot of entries. I am so happy to see the engagement. We have live viewers right now. We have likes, thumbs ups, and hearts, and questions from the audience, which I love. This is my favorite part of the show. Thank you so much, guys, for being so engaging. So without further ado, let's start with Thomas Kim. I could pronounce this last name. I've had a hard time pronouncing last names. Thomas, thank you for having an easy one. I will not butcher the rest, I promise. What is an optimal, this is a good question because I always wonder this. What is the optimal duration for a demo reel? We were just talking about demo reels earlier.
Yeah, I would honestly say anywhere between like 3 and 4 minutes, honestly. I mean, it can be, we could debate this for a little bit, but honestly, I'd rather see 3 minutes of solid material than like 6 minutes of just like everything you've done. So, when in doubt, like consult with your agent. Or what I've also done, like I as a little push plug for my own stuff, I do a weekly monthly workshop for Toronto's BIPOC community. And one of those things is one-on-ones that we do. And sometimes people come in with their demos, show me their demo, and I'll be like, yes, no, let's cut it out create they have questions about their demo. So this is all to say, also show your demo to somebody else, show your demo to a friend or to your agent and be like, is this too long or too short? I mean, it can't be too short. It is what it is. But yeah, see what kind of works, because sometimes they'll put like 2 of the same from the same project in there. It's the same tone and it's just unnecessary. So versus like a tighter demo. Yeah.
I'm I'm gonna definitely send you my demo and take this class, because I always question my demo all the time and my existence. I question my existence as an actor. That's also a thing. We all do this. Let's see here. We got some more questions. Oh, here's a good one. I'm going to star this one. Sorry, guys. I'm running tech. Evan was sick today, so I'm doing 2 jobs. So bear with me. Our main man, Craig Weiss. And if those who were watching the last show, it's Weiss, like W-I-C-E instead of like rice. I don't know. He used a weird word that wasn't a real word. But Craig Weiss, I couldn't pronounce it. What are some major pain points, I like that, for casting directors that actors and talent can help alleviate? So what is the Advil for bad acting, kind of, is what he's asking.
Well, I think that actually it's like, for me, what comes to mind is actually more like procedure on this question. So what I mean by that is actors who don't book out with their agents, like that becomes an issue. You know, if they want to book you for something and they're like, oh, he's out of town for the next 3 weeks, he didn't tell us. Tell your agent when you're going away. As I said, I encourage people to take time off. You need to, but just make sure your agent knows. A second thing is submit your self-tapes on time. You know, we want to, every single breakdown, I would say we probably have a dozen people that, you know, don't submit. And for commercials, it's even quadruple that sometimes. Just not submitting self-tapes, and then we're scrambling to get people to self-tape on time. So just do it on time. If you need more time, ask so we know. So that's another thing. Probably a third thing is actors not reading the directions. Like we usually put up pretty, we give as much information as we can for, you know, a long format piece, break down notes on the material. For commercials, you know, we do pretty extensive directions for what we expect in terms of the scene and the slate. You know, and sometimes we'll have actors that will send in a self-tape to us saying, I'm sorry, I don't have time to self-tape. And that is their self-tape, which is just, yeah.
Jeez. Wow.
So, or completely disregarding the direction. So I would say book out with your agent, submit your self-tapes on time, and read the directions that we give you. Those would be the 3 biggest things.
That is your 3 pain points with Jesse Griffiths, brought to you by Tylenol Cold. Misha Marie. Hello, Misha. Are there any common mistakes you see in self-tapes that should be avoided? You kind of named a few.
Yeah, I think we kind of touched on most of them. The last thing I'll say is like framing. Like framing is a really big one, which we talked about. So like I see a lot of self-tapes like this, or whatever it is. Or like so much dead space. So you don't want any dead space above your head. And really, when you think about it, everything is, everything is the eyes. Like the eyes do so much. So make sure the eyes are clear, that we can see them, that your eye lines are clear. And the last thing I'll say, and this is for self-tapes and for Zoom auditions, so let's maybe like combine these two. One of the biggest things I see is people pushing to reach a person who's on the other side of the room versus the person they're talking to, who's right in front of them. You know, like even especially over like volume, gestures, physically, everything. Remind yourself that it is a smaller medium, and the focus should be eyes and face, and vocally, you know, it should be just kind of like conversational tone, conversational volume.
Right.
But people have a tendency to push, especially in Zoom auditions. Physically.
What if it's like taking the scenes like taking place in because I kind of do this sometimes. It's more like a fake screen, but taking place in like a club or like a loud space, and it kind of adds to the tone of the show. Like, you know, you're doing the fake loud talk. Is that a no-no? Do you prefer the intimate talk? What's your thoughts on that?
No, I think that's totally justified. I think you always ask yourself, is this like a public conversation, a private setting, a private conversation, a public setting? Like, what is the difference there?
Right.
But I would say that is probably the exception of like I'm in a club and I'm trying to have a conversation. but it's yeah.
No, I genuinely was concerned. I was like, oh shit, do I do too much of the yelling thing on the club scene and stuff? No, but that's This is the thing with acting, right? This is a great show. Okay, this is why the show's here, because these are the questions we want to know. Actors, there's glass half full, there's glass half empty, and then there's the glass full of poop. Actors are the glass full of poop. Everything we do is wrong, and there's no hope for us. So hearing this puts our minds at ease, obviously. Good. Here's my question for you, Jesse. What's your like perfect frame? So a lot of times I'll do a shot Like when I audition, I mean, it's hard to do on a laptop, but it's like, it's kind of like this. No dead space up top, head and shoulders, a little bit, obviously with a nicer backdrop. Is that something you prefer? Do you prefer the closer? Do you prefer something more like this? What's like kind of your framing that you like on your tapes? How you are right now?
I would almost say like what I'm right now. If I was a little bit closer, yeah, I like just below the shoulders, not a lot of dead space with the head, and then being very clear about eye lines too. That's
Yes.
very important.
That's a tip, guys. Is my free acting tip 101 with Farid, yes, Danny. If there are more than one character and you have the ability to do it, break across the frame as if you're talking to two different people, as opposed to going this way. So if it's like Joe is here and Schmo is there, this looks bad, but this looks way better because you're kind of still in your frame. There's one on each side of the camera.
Yeah,
little small things, guys. Little small things.
I would say unless like you're exceptional with eye lines and it's you can do it flawlessly. Even if there are 5 people you're talking to, I would still only have 2 eye lines. I really would.
Yes. Agreed.
Because then it just gets confusing for everybody. And I often tell people this in the room or when we're doing, if it's a newer actor or they're just getting comfortable with eye lines, and they're like, oh, I forget who I'm talking to. Like, I honestly don't care. Like, I don't care if the line is supposed to say to this person you're looking over here. I won't make that connection. But as soon as you start moving left and right, it makes it more active, dynamic. There's creating a tension, a relationship is being established between everyone else. So, it's good if you can practice who you're looking at when, but at the end of the day, if you have 2 or more, then give 2 or more, give 2 eye lines. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Thank you for that, Misha. We got a lot of questions. I'm going to try to get to as many as I can. Here's a good one. Misha again. I'm going to give you one more, Misha. Okay? You're getting greedy. I'm just kidding. I love you. What advice do you have for finding the character in the script? P.S. Thank you for sitting down and sharing this with us.
You're welcome. Finding a character in a script, I don't want to like cop out of this. I feel like this could be its own like hour-long discussion.
Yes.
But some of the things are, just who is this person talking to? Who is this? What are people saying about this character? What are this character's like strengths or weaknesses? Are they an active person? Are they shy? Where is this scene taking place in the script? Is it the very beginning where we're kind of developing a relationship with this character? Is it the very end when they're more confident? Is it during the rising action, like 3/4 of the way through? Do you get a sense of like trepidation? Do you get a sense that they think that they're doing the right thing, but they're coming across as evil? What is it they want? What are these obstacles? I think that, we could really
go on.
We go on, but this question, it's a great question, Misha. This is why you go to acting class. Like even when, and I'm not trying to cop out, but like I'll do these things and I'll do like audition workshops, and I just always emphasize like I'm not an acting teacher. Like I can give you like 2 or 3 notes to maybe make it better, but the idea of like an approach or a method or a way to get something or discover something that you can always do it. That is why you go to a school or to class or to workshops. So I give you a couple things there, but this is why you're constantly training. It's also why it's good to train with different people all the time, because everyone has their own technique and approach. And something like might not sit well with you at all. It might not resonate. And you meet that one teacher, you're like, oh, that makes sense.
Yes. And that's the key. One thing I really preach is to, a lot of times actors get caught up in the acting schools. They get caught up with gurus and they're like, this is the only way. This is the one way. It could be very dangerous, especially for actors who, again, as I mentioned, it's like, acting is a very convoluted thing where there's no right answer. There's no 4 + 4 = 8. It's 4 + 4 = blue. It's just like, you never know what the right answer is. So I encourage you guys to grow your tool belt. Get as many tools as you can. Sometimes you'll need the hammer. Sometimes you'll need the measuring tape. Get as much as you can. And like Jesse said, which is a great point, is use what works for you, because not everything is going to work for you. At the end of the day, as long as you're being truthful, you're being truthful. Mr. Mustache himself, Craig Dyson, former college graduate of mine, good friend Craig. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. How are you? I see your mustache is still there and strong. What's the first thing you take notice of when looking at an actor's audition? Like, what's the first? Oh, okay, see that. Maybe a paper in the room.
the moment before, like what is starting the scene? Like, have you built in a clear start to this scene, or are you just starting to say the lines because the lines start? Like, what has happened right before? Are you mid conversation? And if you are, at what point is this taking place? Like, sometimes just taking a small moment of breath and thought. I mean, honestly, I could watch some of the best actors sit and not say anything and actively think and listen, versus someone who like knows their lines perfectly. Like, so there is an element of stillness or thought that I always kind of look for off the top. So it's building in a very clear start. Are you entering the frame, or are you already there? If you're already there, is someone else entering the frame? If they're entering the frame, do you see them come in? Are you surprised when they come in? Are you shocked when they come in? Were you expecting them? Something like, what is that moment? There are no wasted moments in an audition, and there shouldn't be. So like right off the top, what are you building in off the, how are you telling the story? And how are you showing us who you are as a character? Those are the things I look for right away.
Yeah. Moment before, moment afters are very important in auditions. As you mentioned, a lot of dead space that gets lost and wasted. Yeah. Honest has asked this before, and I didn't have a chance to get to it. So Honest, I'm going to do you this one, buddy. How does an actor avoid being typecast? Typecast? What are you talking about? Just kidding. I know all about that. Jesse, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think so. I think that I think it's a really complicated question. And for you, I'm open to you speaking to this, because there are different types of typecasting, and I think that some can be very detrimental to an actor and also to our industry of how we are portraying certain people all the time. There's that one element. There's also the element which is maybe a little less like powerful, but still kind of important. Like, oh, I'm only going out for this. I'm only going out for cop roles or lawyer roles, and it's boring. Like, those are two kind of different types of typecasting, which are also important. So I guess my point being is, like, if you are in the very early stages of your career and you are continually going out and someone's always bringing you out for a role that is not offensive or is not perpetuating a stereotype, but it is like, I'm going out for the role of the doctor or lawyer or whatever it is, and you're just kind of bored of it, but you're getting seen a lot and you're paying the bills. That's okay in the early stages of your career, and at some point it's a conversation to have with your agent, like, we did this for a while and it's great, but I'm ready to try something else. And at some point you might have to say no to some roles, and saying no sucks, and saying no, I realize it could mean like less money in your pocket, but there's also a lot of power in saying no to and establishing your boundaries, whether it is for a role that is perpetuating an inappropriate stereotype, or for a role that you're like, I've done this 1,000 times, I'm sick of it. But those are conversations, regardless of what the role is, or where you are in your career. It's a conversation to have with your agent, and let them know that you are either frustrated or feel something's inappropriate, or you feel like you're being taken advantage of, or you're not being challenged, or whatever it is. But I would say have that conversation with your agent and be like, this is where I'm at. This is what I think I could do, or I don't believe in this role for X, Y, and Z reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Ennis, I apologize. Pronunciation is Ennis. At first I was like, Ennis. Oh yes, Ennis. I thought your name was pronounced. I thought your name was Nova Scotia for a second. I'm glad it's not. No, yes, Jesse, thank you for that. That is well said. I agree. I definitely think have a talk with your agent. I think there's a power in saying no. I've said no to a couple auditions where I was just like, this is outright offensive, and I refuse to do that. But then there's also, if you look at my IMDb, it's like Egyptian Guard 2, Mohammed, and then it's like John, Frank, David Green, and it's like, you would think that those roles were offensive, but in actuality, they weren't. It's just those were the things I was getting seen for right off the top. They're very specific. They fit a niche. But I do say, Ennis and anyone else of any other BIPOC actors who are watching, there is power in saying no. And I know it's scary, especially if you're new, but if you don't feel comfortable doing something, you don't have to do it. And I think your agent should respect that. And to add to Jesse's point, I agree. Have a talk with your agent. Tell them this is what this is what I'd be comfortable doing. This is what I would not be comfortable doing. And a good agent, big or small, will respect that.
On to that, the last thing I will say is, like, I also do my best, like, if a project comes across my desk and they're casting for certain roles, to flag if something seems like inappropriate or not culturally sensitive, or that might cause some friction between actors. We usually try to kind of head those things off in the past before they kind of make their way to a breakdown. But it has happened where something's gone out and we have either overlooked it or misinterpreted it or didn't do our best job in catching it early. And then it goes to an actor and agent and they give us feedback as to why a role shouldn't be called this or the description shouldn't be like this. And not that I want to put our work on the actors, but by giving feedback like that can actually trickle upstream where changes can be made. So I think there is power in saying no, but there's also a lot of power in having the conversation too.
Right. Correct. Well said. Thank you, Jesse. Sorry, guys. I'm multitasking here. Oleg Firehead Kastnets. I did not add that part. That's part of his name. Do you think it's appropriate for actors to email casting directors as a way to network and build professional relationships, or is there a preferred method of making these connections in the industry? I think he's asking about what is the mannerisms in schmoozing, networking. How do we go about not just laying back and waiting for things to come to us? What's the appropriate way to do so?
Yeah, I think that's a great question.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
It's a tough question because you can't answer for every director out there. I'm sure some would love email, some wouldn't.
Yeah, but I think that's it, is that I don't want to answer for everyone, so I will just answer for myself. We do get emails. I think that it's hard if everyone emails us all the time with just a hey, hello. It's really a bit more powerful and I think professional too if you're actively working on something that you want us to come see, or you've just done something of a link that you want to show us to a short or to a feature or to a role or to a new demo. I think that having a reason to reach out is helpful versus like, hey, how are you? Personally.
Yeah.
I would also be very careful in terms of like, I have a professional account on Instagram and I have my own personal account on Instagram. And I have that for a reason. And so if casting has those two different, platforms, be wary of which one you use, to reach out for networking, like not reaching out to someone's personal, Instagram if it's clear that they are using, a professional account. I'd also really advise like having a conversation with your agent, because sometimes the agent has better intel on which casting directors like to receive what correspondence. Or they might know a good time to do it, or they might be able to put together like a pitch package with you and a couple other actors they've been meaning to reach out to, or either like fresh in their roster or haven't been seen in a while. But I would say it's best to usually best to do that in consult with an agent if you have one. And if not, it's good to reach out to casting director. I'm happy to take an email if you have something that you want to show or talk about, versus like a hey, how are you? Which I don't have a problem with that. It's just hard for me to kind of manage our own bandwidth of all the emails we do get.
100%. Well said. Jesse, how are you doing for time? Time for a few more questions? This is the most engagement I've ever seen.
Yes, I've got time for a couple more. I got to go play hockey in a couple of hours. An hour.
Okay.
I got a hockey game.
All right, one more question, and we're going to wrap it up, and then we'll do the quick draw.
I'll do two more
questions. Two more questions. Look, Jesse's being so generous.
If you have them.
Here's a good one. And I like this one because I have this question as well. Larissa Banfield Wilson. And now this is kind of specific to Actors Access. My agent actually in Vancouver told me this. In Actors Access, you could actually have little clips of scenes from different shows. And it gives the casting directors and producers and writers the ability to just click on what they want to see. Like if it was like Suits, this episode, that. So is there something to be said about having individual scenes available maybe on your Actors Access? It's not maybe instead, but in addition to having a reel. What's your thoughts on that algorithm?
Yeah, I think that it's actually, let me think about this. I think it's kind of helpful. I think if that's an option, I would imagine it costs more money to have that option because I feel like everything extra. But I think in the early stages, I would only do that if you have really quality, professionally network cable produced materials that someone needs to flick through quickly so they can show someone your stuff as a way to like really actively pitch you. When it comes to like the demo, even what I'll do is I'll review it and I might even cut up your demo myself to show you to show producers like the best parts of your demo that I want to show them, because there could be a clip in there that will throw them right off the scent. And I want to make sure that I'm kind of creating a package that is exciting to them. This is all to say that I think that, it really depends on the individual. And I think that if you have enough professionally produced, really quality materials, and individual clips could be helpful if it's a way that you want to spend your money, but I don't think you have to. I think just having a demo itself is really helpful for us.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a technical issue. So while I ask this last question, everyone who's entered the contest, please re-enter the hashtag in the comment section below right now. For some reason, my draw tool was not working in collecting entries. I'm going to try one more time. So hashtag JGC, re-enter in the comment section, please. Thank you, Larissa, for that question. And then we'll be able to do the draw. Jesse, even if you have to take off, we can do the draw while you're away. And then what we'll do is we'll connect the winner with Jesse once we get that winner. Okay, last question. Let's go with this question. Here we go. Jonathan, longtime viewer. Welcome back, Jonathan. Do you like to see different demos for different genres? For example, 3-minute drama, 3-minute comedy demo, and our agent can submit the proper demo based on the submission role.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely something we do see. I mean, I've seen comedy, I've seen drama, I've seen video game, I've seen commercial, I've seen stunt, all those things. I think that to have that amount of wealth of material, I would imagine you'd be fairly far along in your career that you could do that. To have one solid comedy demo that's 3 minutes of pure comedy, I think that's great. I don't think that's a requirement. And like I said, quality over quantity is always the name of the game when it comes to a demo. So don't feel like you need to break them out into different genres. If you can fill, 2 or 3 minutes of a comedy and a drama, then go for it. And I think it's really helpful, but it does not need to be the status quo.
Last question for me. What position do you play, Jesse?
I'm a winger. Yeah.
Nice.
I play left wing. I'm more of a playmaker than a scorer.
Is that a double entendre as well? Are you the setup guy in relationships too? Are you the wingman?
Yeah, probably. No. So I skate really fast and I'm always in the right position, but I don't have a great shot. So if you get it to me in front of the net, I'll get it in, but I'm not I don't have that great slap shot from the point. I can't do that.
So everyone that's listening, so you're McDavid, pretty much.
Yeah, basically.
McDavid, because that's the one thing missing from his game. No one noticed that. He's a great playmaker, great scorer, but he doesn't have a shot. He does not have a shot. Yeah, I'm calling him out for all you Edmonton viewers. No, I'm kidding. Love McDavid. That was the quickest amount of entries I've ever seen. Thank you guys for re-entering. I'm seeing your entries now. I'm going to give you 5 more seconds to re-enter. JGC, if you have not entered, again, please re-enter. Even though you've entered the first time, I was having technical issues, but now the tool is working. And I'm going to do the draw in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Share screen. How do I do this? Share screen. Here, can I do this? Does this work? Aha. Do you guys see this? Yeah, here it is. I'm learning this on the fly. I wasn't know if that was the right button to press, but I think I did the right thing. All right, guys. Oh, one more entry just popped in. I'm going to give you 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, Rodrigo Abruzzese may be related to Nick Abruzzese on the Maple Leafs. I don't know if the spelling's the same, but congratulations, Rodrigo. Thank you so much for entering. And I don't think I've seen you before, so you're a first-time viewer. Congrats. You won a one-on-one entry with Jesse Griffiths. Here is the details right there. The winner, please contact us at entertainment411@eboss.com. That was our show. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Jesse. This was such an insightful interview for myself and for the audience. I'm sure I could speak on everyone's behalf. Wow, thanks, Ruggiero. Did I say Rodrigo? Ruggiero Abruzzese. I'm sorry, brother. Congratulations. Thank you for entering. Guys, thanks for all of you guys entering. A lot of viewers, a lot of engagements. You guys have been great. Jesse, this is one of the most engaging shows we've had, so thank you so much for joining us. Go set up some goals. Go get some shots in. Work on that shot. I'm just kidding. And no, thank you for the all your insight. It's always great to see a face to the name. We see the breakdowns. We see the casting director, but we never actually get to meet the casting director. So I'm glad everyone can share the same opinion that I have of you, and that you are an amazing gentleman. So thank you so much.
Thank you. This is a delight. This is a great platform. I would encourage everyone to kind of come back. It seems to get a lot of great people on here: casting directors, agents, producers, actors, writers, everyone. So I'm humbled you thought of me, and I hope you learned something tonight, everyone. Fred, always a pleasure to see you, my friend. I hope you're well.
Of course, buddy. Yeah. No, thank you so much. And hopefully we'll have some more in the room auditions in the future, because I don't think I've ever got to see you in the room. It's always been virtual. Maybe I think once. I think for Toronto, I think was in the room.
It was like once. Yeah.
So
we'll do
ladies and
better.
gentlemen, that was our show. Thanks for tuning in. Jesse's going to score some goals and set up to get 5 points. Over under on 5 points. I'm going to guess it right now. And good night, everyone.
Bye, guys.